Hey, everybody, welcome back. So, today I want to talk a little bit about protection and not the kind of protection you might think, the one that comes to mind immediately. Well, I guess that's a question you need to be asking yourself. What kind of protection came to mind immediately? But that's probably for another podcast. And I am not a therapist, so I'm not even going to go there. But where I'm going with this is that recently, instead of asking myself what I want more of, I've been asking myself a different question. What do I want to protect this season of my life? Because for me, protection is not about fear. When I think of protection, I'm referring to the kind of protection that is about discernment, right? It's about being thoughtful. And this time in my life has taught me that not everything deserves access to me. It used to be that you could call and ask me to do something and I didn't care how inconvenient it was, how expensive it was, what kind of a toll it was going to take on my week. If someone asked, I better go, doggone it, because you know what? They're asking for access to me, therefore they should get it. So even if it once did, it no longer does. And there was a time when I thought open meant being available, right? Can you get together for dinner next week? Sure. Well, what day are you available? Anytime. When are you available? And you know that you had already planned to go get your nails done on Wednesday and you were going to deep clean your bathrooms on Friday. But if they say Wednesday or Friday, you're going to say yes and you're going to change your plans for them. Or, hey, can you watch the kids, Mom? We have something to do next week. Oh, sure. When are you available? Anytime. Knowing that you have Wednesday plans with your friend, but you're probably going to change them because you want to be there for your children. Now it's a little bit different. Now I understand that openness without that protection barrier becomes complete and total depletion. And this was true in my life. I was depleted from giving everything I had to everyone else and never saving anything for myself. And now I know that I need to protect myself from that depletion. I want to talk about it a little bit today, and we're going to cover it in a couple of different formats and a couple of different areas. But I just want you to be thinking about this as I talk about it, recognizing that all of this is kind of coming together for me in the moment as I am living on the verge. No kidding, no gimmick, no bullshit. This is literally, I thought of a few words. Those few words morphed into alignment. Alignment gave me some clarity. It is helping me with the simplicity that I seek. And as a result, it is leading me in these other areas where I am seeing things that I am sharing with you. And today we're going to talk about protection. So the first way I want to cover it is protection as a form of care. We usually think of protection as something we do after someone hurts us, right? You get a cut, you protect it, you cover it with a Band-Aid. But real protection often shows up before that. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had this person in my life that we were what I considered friends, right? And we got together every so often. And I would try time after time to, hey, let's get together for lunch. Hey, let's get together for dinner. And inevitably, the person would schedule and then reschedule or say, hey, let me get back to you and I'll let you know. And then they never would. And I always gave them the benefit of the doubt. Oh my gosh, they're so busy. They have so much going on. And you know those type of friends that are kind of scatterbrained anyway, so you kind of give them the built-in buffer for that. This was such kind of friend. And so I didn't really think much of it. Instead, I kept going back and re-inviting and, hey, let's do this. And what about that? And, trying to make it as easy as possible. And then all of a sudden I realized that there's no crisis. This person isn't being mean to me. This person isn't making me feel threatened in any way, shape, or form. But I need to protect myself because this person is clearly showing me that they do not want to spend time with me. And so my protection became a response to the clarity of the moment, not the crisis, not the issue of constantly being stood up. And now I protect myself from that friend. There was still no big blow up. There's still been no bridge burned. And we see each other, albeit very rarely. But when we do, I take with a grain of salt what this person says. If they say, hey, let's get together in a couple of weeks, my response is, that's awesome. Send me a text when you have some availability and I'll let you know if I'm available. So that is now my form of protection against this constant disregard for my friendship, right? But you don't really need a dramatic reason to protect your life. It's okay. It's okay to want to be protective of yourself because only when we are whole can we give what we want to give to others, right? And so I want to be really clear here, you guys. There is a distinct difference between guarding and honoring. If you're guarding yourself, then you're building up guardrails, you're building up a wall. But if you're honoring your values and your boundaries and your goals and your ideals, then you are protecting what you view as the way that you want to live your life in a healthy way. So you're honoring your own wishes. And that's a beautiful thing, if you ask me. What I protect is what I finally understand the value of, right? So things that used to feel really overexposed to me, they now feel sacred. How so? Well, let me explain. The idea of going out to lunch or dinner with a friend was kind of just one of those things. I always had to be available whenever they were. I was constantly running. Who's going to pay? Well, they really can't afford it. I should probably treat. On and on and on and on. That is not the case anymore. When I go out with my friends, we have a genuinely wonderful time. There is a sacred trust and a calmness and an ease to it because everybody was looking forward to the moment. Nobody felt beckoned or summoned. Nobody felt obligated. We're there because we want to be. And that is what I mean when I say that what used to feel like overexposure now feels like the sanctity of a friendship that is valued. So, what am I protecting right now? Well, one of the biggest things is my time. I'm protecting my time not because I'm busy. This is probably the least busy I've ever been in my life, right? My kids are grown and gone. My business is behind me and a thing of the past. I am now what we could call officially retired outside of this podcast. And so I'm not busy, but I'm present. And that is something that I've always struggled with. Because I have a busy mind, I am guilty of being that person that can be staring straight at you and I'm hearing you, but I'm not listening. And I have really worked hard to change that. It's not that I don't care. It's that the next thing that I care about is invading my time with you. And that happens to me with myself. I could be sitting there trying to focus on something, and there's something else poking in the back of my brain, interrupting my own thought process. But I've tried really, really hard to work on being present. And in order to do so, I have to protect my time. In particular, my mornings. I used to be the kind of girl that hit the ground running, right? Get up, have your coffee, make your bed, brush your teeth, take your shower, get dressed, get the house clean, get the bills paid, get the dogs fed, check the mail. By 10 o'clock, I've done 755 things. I'm exhausted, and I haven't even realized what a beautiful day it is, and that I missed the opportunity to take a walk in this gorgeous moment because now it's too hot. And now I have to go insert whatever thing I have to do. And that is not who I am anymore. I value my mornings. I am more protective of them. I don't get up and go. I get up and stay. I plan, I think, I process, I reflect. I enjoy my coffee. I spend a little bit of time with my dogs. And I'm getting better, but I still struggle a little bit with this part. And that is not trying to fill in every gap. So just sitting in the moment and being okay with the fact that I know I'm supposed to be in the office working on my social media. But right now is me time, and it's okay that I'm not in the office working on my social media. Not trying to feel kind of what we talked about the other day on the podcast, that we have to delay joy until everything's perfect. And that has become really important to me. And so I am very protective of my time now. If I am spending time with you, please know it's intentional. Know that I want to be there, and know that I'm present, and know that I have chosen to spend this time because my time has become very valuable to me. And another thing that I protect these days is my energy. I'm starting to pay a lot more attention to what drains me and what restores me. So what drains me isn't the things that I thought would drain me. Going to the gym, taking long walks, working in the backyard, sitting and going through different recipes, rearranging my closet. These are all things that when I think about them, I think, gosh, those are draining. What kind of a day is that going to make for? But I find that those very same things that I feared were going to drain me are in fact restoring me. What restores me is being purposeful. What restores me is getting out and seeing the beauty of the world we live in, is being grateful for the fact that I have the strength to walk 3 miles or 5 miles. Those things are so restorative. I mean, the notion of every time I walk into my closet, you guys, to this moment, I'm so grateful that I did the closet thing. I am so happy every time I go in there. My whole wardrobe has changed. I have probably, let's put it this way, probably 80% of the clothes that were in there before are gone. And maybe about 25% of the shoes are gone. And my wardrobe has just stepped up because I know where everything is. Everything coordinates really quickly. It does not take me forever to find outfits. And I don't have to guess as to whether anything in there looks good on me because everything in there is on current rotation. So when I think about how I am putting in so much less energy than before, it's easy to see how putting the effort in, the time in the beginning has resulted in having to use much less energy going forward. And that's a win for me. And when I'm talking about energy, I'm also talking about conversations. There are conversations that I used to tolerate that I just no longer do. I just no longer will put the time and the energy into something that is not serving me. Whether that be, something on TV. I don't watch the news anymore, but let's say I did and I happened to catch something. If it's not feeding me in a positive way, and if it's not allowing me to think for myself, I don't even give it the energy anymore. And there are conversations with people that I will start to have a conversation, and if I feel that I am going to walk away feeling drained, I don't even want to indulge that conversation anymore. And the same is true about the energy with regards to our obligations. So if I was obliged to do something, I could be coughing up a lung and I was still going to show up. I don't do that anymore. I still honor my obligations. And if you're in my calendar, I take you seriously. And that's another aside. It really pisses me off when somebody puts you on their calendar and then kind of treats you as unless something better comes up. And so that's a whole other conversation. But back to obligations, I take them seriously, but I used to honor my obligations sometimes to my own peril. And I don't do that anymore. This is the hardest kind of energy that I am learning to work through. And that is internalizing other people's issues and taking it on as my own emotional labor. I am by nature an empath, and I cannot tell you how rough it is when you are the type of person who can almost physically feel other people's pain and hurt, because there is such a desperation to want to fix it. And the reality is that we can't, right? We can't fix somebody else's experience in life. And so it has become really hard for me to recognize that I should not waste precious energy internalizing things that I cannot control. It's been a hard one. The energy thing has been a rough one, because protecting my energy in the past, if I wasn't completely depleted, then that meant I had left something unfinished. If there was a spark of energy left in me at the end of the day, then something got left undone. And that is just not who I am anymore. I want to move on, and I want to talk about protecting relationships, because I'm protecting relationships that feel safe, mutual, and grounding. And I'm going to cover 3 different areas of relationships just really briefly. The first one is the most obvious, and that's my marriage, right? My marriage to me is the one that I will protect forevermore, because it needs protection. It is at the basis of everything that I have committed my life to. And so protecting my relationship with my husband, whether it be by going out to dinners together or making sure that he knows I'm going to miss him and writing him a little note before he leaves to work. Those are the kinds of things that I will always and have always done to protect my relationship. But I'm way more intentional with it now. And of course, the family dynamics. I mean, my gosh, my family is everything to me. And the idea of being able to call my kids on a Wednesday and say, hey, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, let's get together and, barbecue and hang out and, whatever, end up karaokeing at the end of the night, and that they actually come. That means everything to me. And so I protect those relationships and those family dynamics. And if I hear that one of my kids is having a little something beef with one of the other kids, I don't necessarily get involved, but I'm very aware of what's going on, and I'm very careful to make sure that they know that I think it's important that they resolve whatever, because, hey, we're getting together for karaoke in a couple of weeks. And it's not really as simple as all that. I'm kind of glossing over a lot, but you know what I'm getting at. The dynamic in your family, it changes from time to time. It just does. You add another child, or somebody is, going through a rough time or lost their job or is going through a divorce, and it changes the dynamics in the family. And it's really important that you protect those dynamics so that they stay intact, because it matters. And the most important thing for me has been recognizing that I am happier having fewer, truer connections. Remember the dime nickel story I told you guys? Well, it's how I live my life now. The amount of friendships I have live very, very comfortably inside of a dime. And they are so much more valuable than the group twice the size that I used to have. Moving on, I'm protecting my creativity, my thoughts, and my quiet. My life these days is filled with less noise. It really, truly is. I have fewer opinions. I have a tendency to just let people think what they want to think and let them be what they want to be, and I don't necessarily have to care about it one way or the other. And it doesn't really do anything to me anymore. My gosh, just hearing myself say that sentence would have caused me anxiety before. What do you mean you don't have an opinion? Of course you have an opinion. And they probably need to know it, because if they don't know your opinion, then how else are they going to know how to solve the problem? I mean, after all, you only have their best interests in mind, and that's all you're trying to do anyway. So of course you have to tell them. No, you don't. No, you don't. And this leads to the next thing. It's because I have more trust in myself. When you have more trust in yourself, it's a lot easier to be more quiet. It's a lot easier to have less to say. Protection, my friends, isn't isolation. It's intention. And I'm just trying to be more intentional. It's working. It's working for me. I'm here to tell you I'm happier than I've been in years and years with myself as a person, with my relationships, with my day-to-day. And I just want to cover one last area, and that's the guilt that we have around protecting, especially for women, right? Protection can feel like we're being selfish because we're conditioned to overgive. We're conditioned to take care of our children, take care of your little brother and sister, make sure that they don't get bullied at school, all of those things. As women, we are conditioned to make sure that everybody around us is okay. But it's why saying no feels harder than saying yes. Think about this, right? You know the situation. Your kids call and they say, hey, mom, dad, we haven't been out in a long time, and our friends just invited us to this concert on Saturday night, and we really want to go. You know we don't have the money, but they even invited us and included dinner in the invitation. So all we need is a babysitter for the kids. And you're thinking, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, Saturday night, we have tickets to a comedy show. We're getting together with our friends. It's been on the calendar for months. But you know your kids really need this date night. It is so much harder to say, listen, I'm really sorry, but we already have plans, than it is to say, sure, well, we had some plans, but nothing important. Let me just make a phone call you right back, and call your friends and say, hey, so sorry, but our kids need a babysitter. And so you eat the tickets for the comedy show and you cancel your reservations and you say yes to the kids. The guilt around the no is really, really hard sometimes. And you know what else just riddles us with guilt? I no longer feel the need to justify my boundaries. So for me, very clearly and very simply, no is a complete sentence. But there is a little bit of guilt sometimes, you know? Sometimes somebody will say something to me and I'll be like, yeah, no. But the little voice in the back of my head is saying, finish the sentence, explain why not, tell them you wish you could. I really struggle to quiet that little voice and assuage my guilt these days because it's about protecting the guilt that I should not have to feel for being my true self. You do not owe everyone access to the most tender parts of your life. So in closing, I just want you to ask yourself this. Have you been feeling more selective lately? Are you saying no more often? Are you adhering to your boundaries? If so, you're not closing down. You're not doing anything wrong. You're probably just finally finding the power to protect what really matters to you. And that's not a bad thing. That's a fabulous thing. So I want you to realize that protecting yourself can only make you stronger, better, and more fabulous for the world. So never feel bad about protection, whether it be your time, your energy, your relationships, your life, or your ability to just say, you know what, I don't need to feel guilty about this. When you choose protection with intention, all you're doing is recalibrating what really matters. That's living on the verge, choosing what gets your care, your time, and your heart. Thanks for being here today. I'll be back again soon. And yes, until then, I will be here living on the verge.